everyone, it's Warren here from NQ Explorers. Welcome to my latest video. Over the next week I'm in Western Australia, and what you can see behind me is a very different environment, I guess, than what you imagine in WA. I'm in the southwest forests. When you think of WA and metal detecting, you think of gold, obviously, out in the Yalgoo area or the Murchison or the Eastern Goldfields around Kalgoorlie. But I'm on a relic hunting trip because Western Australia was established in 1829, the Swan River colony. So it's got a lot of old history here and a great potential for Victorian relics and coins, and right up through into the 1950s for your pre-decimal coins. This area here, the big forests of the southwest were logged extensively from the 1880s onwards, and even earlier. Reached the peak around the time of the First World War, and after the First World War the soldier settlement scheme was established in this area and the diggers were given land. It wasn't largely a successful scheme, but there are some ruins around here from that soldier settler scheme. But where I am today, it's a bit of a recon. I'm going to do a bit of detecting, but tomorrow I'll do a full day in here, and there's a couple of other spots I want to look at. This was a mill town, a timber milling town, from about 1900 to the mid-1920s. So there's potential for some good relics in here. There's quite some interesting ruins in here which we'll have a look at, and we'll dig up some relics and see what else we can find around the place. Any interesting features, I'll show you too on the video. So thanks for watching, and we'll get into it. So what you can see up through here is the remnants of the mill foundations. Fairly typical early 19th century industrial architecture. But you can see they've had up pit saws and that sort of thing. There's a drain there, running through there, the concrete drain. And up here you can see a bit of railway line, remnant from when the tramways brought the logs in to be milled. There's a pit there, maybe a pit saw possibly. Foundations all through here. This gives you an idea of the logs they were milling. Beautiful big timber. They've used it here to construct the base of the mill, obviously. There's ruins all through here. Big piece of machinery foundation in there, probably a steam boiler. Have a look at this for a piece of fungus. Natural fungus growing in the old timber. Incredible. As you can see, it's quite a wet area, being exposed on this southwest corner of WA. And like the arid areas of the state, this is quite a very high rainfall area, hence the wonderful timber country. You can see here all these big logs have been roughly hewed and laid out. Obviously the timber would have come in here. You can see where the tramway would have gone in that direction, perhaps. You can see the easement. Logs rolling down here to the pit saw lower down the hill. Okay, let's go up the hill a bit further. Right, we're further up the hill above the mill. You can see there's a flat benched area there where there was a house, or several houses. Maybe they're just little dongers for the men, I'm not really sure. Early 1900s, 1910, 1920. I've got the AT Max with the 5x8 double D, because these old sites always expect a lot of iron rubbish, so you get good target separation with that coil. First repeatable target, get this awesome old lock. Wouldn't have to be very good to find this, it was a huge signal. It's a H, get up here, get that to focus. I think it's H, T and V or something, or H, yeah, H, T and V. Ancient padlock. Oh, it's an old key padlock. I guess that's early 20th century. That's a ripper, a bit of a relic there. It's the old brass flip over sort of hasp. Well, that's pretty cool. Nice find. As you can see, it's fairly overgrown as you'd expect in this wet climate, but you can see there's another bench here. Houses all up through here. Look, there's probably 200, 300 people here when the mill was operating. The millers and the timber getters, of course, and their families. Just got an awesome find here. It was an 8990. Look at this. It's an old enamel love heart. It's been enamelled on the front. I wonder if there's anything on the back of that. I guess it's homemade here and in the workshops, and it's been enamelled with red enamel on the front. That's awesome. That'll look nice cleaned up. I wonder what the history of that piece is. Ripper of a find, eh? Very happy with that. Well, there's a piece of machinery there, a foundation plinth for a boiler maybe, or a small stationary engine, or a flywheel or something. There's a timber loading dock over there. The houses I was in were higher up. The rain's getting heavier. I don't mind hunting in the rain, but you can't see what I'm doing because I can't film it pretty much. It's very difficult. So come back in the morning when the sun's out. It's going to be a nice day tomorrow, and we'll further investigate and explore the remnants. Okay, so I've returned. It's the second day. The weather's a lot better today, incidentally. There's an old track that's part of the original town site, and as you can see, there's a big water tank up in there. Would have been a house site in here. Just got a very repeatable high tone 82, and I've got an awesome old relic here. It's an old lighter, a very old lighter. That should be branded. I can't clean it here. I've got a bit of water on it back at camp, and we'll see if we can get a maker's name. Might even be engraved. Often they are, these old ones. Ripper. Just got this awesome little relic. It's a little toy tractor. Let's have a look at him. Gee, that's a solid little unit. It's an old matchbox or something. It's not modern, but clearly doesn't date from 1910. So there's obviously been some activity in here in the logging community later. That looks like 1940s, 1950s toy. I'll clean him up and we'll get a name and a maker's number or something off it. Looks like a matchbox. The wheels look like a matchbox to me. Very old though. Oh, I'm pretty happy with that. Nice. Nice crop of blackberries here around the old house sites. Big crop of blackberries. I won't be going in there, that's for sure. Those relics will stay in there until this is burnt or removed at some point. I'll just go around the edges of this big blackberry grove. I'm going to head down the hill here. In that direction there's another house site further past that, and that's a big clump of blackberries. This one's a 79. Oh, what is this? It looks like an old door lock of an old Holden. Internal door lock of an old car anyway. Chrome. So I'm down below that house site where I found the old tractor up higher. The homes would have been timber homes on timber stumps. There's not much remnant. A few bricks. I've just got a nice 84 here. I've scratched the ground. I've got a bit of ceramic. The old ubiquitous white plate ceramic, which I like to see that. But if I turn on the pinpointer, right there, that's an 84. So this is, and it's a compact little target. Might be a good little find actually. So just loosen it up slightly. What do we got? Oh, what is this? Oh, it's a barrel off a lock. Geez, we're specialising in locks and keys. I think it's a barrel off a door lock. That'll be branded. It looks like to have a keyhole in it. Anyway, we'll clean him up and subtitle any information, still photos. Here's my next relic. It's somewhat older than the car I just found, of the tractor. Pocket watch part. Or is it a pocket watch part? Oh, no, it's not. Maybe it's an internals of a pocket watch. I'm not sure. I've not seen anything like that before, though. I'll clean it up and see if I can identify it. Got a good solid 83 here, right in the middle of this scrape. Repeatable in both directions. So it could be a good find, this one. And it's not far off the coil. It was only a few centimetres. So we won't have to dig very far. A little bit gravelly. Removed whatever it was. Get in here somewhere. So it's come out of the ground. Oh, it's a coin. I think it's I think it's 2 cents. Pretty confident that's 2 cents. No, I can't quite make anything out on it. Okay, I'll get it up close, clean it, have a look at it. $8.79 looks pretty good. Could be a little silver if we're lucky. Middle of the scrape there. Small and deep, whatever it is. We moved it. Look at that, we've got little silver. Thought it was deep and small, so it's a threepence. There'll be sterling silver because the school that we're at now dates from the early 1900s, very thin. It's KG6, so it's post World War II, threepence. Nice. Pretty happy with that. Silver coin, it was about the 4th target I've dug in this whole school site. Brilliant. Check this out, this is just awesome. I love abandoned railway lines, firstly because I love trains, but secondly, from a relic point of view, they can lead you to some really good finds. Obviously the stations are all well documented on these old lines. This one's an old timber line, WA, southwest, was used for curry logs and jarrah logs, long abandoned now. But it wasn't just the gazetted stations that you can easily track down on the internet or on old maps. It's the stopping places, like they had rail motors or rail car services for passengers. And they're the places where you can find some great relics because horse and buggies pulling up, people are getting out, going to the train. There's a lot of action up and down stairs, things get dropped. Love old railway lines, always a good source for old relics. Plus there's a great bit of historical infrastructure left in the bush. I mean, unfortunately, it's abandoned. It would, I mean, a lot of money's been spent here, and a lot of time and effort to build it, but now it's just rusting away in the middle of nowhere. But from a relic point of view, come and have a walk along here. Check out any infrastructure you might see along the way. An old platform, an old loading platform, a goods shed, the ruins of an old building, some stumps, that sort of thing. Particularly where roads, old roads, cross the lines. That can obviously be a stopping place for a rail motor, or somewhere where a train or a rail motor would stop to pick up passengers. So worth looking up all your old abandoned railway lines, and they're everywhere, not just in Australia, but of course most parts of the world where you can go relic hunting. So I'm just going to go for a bit of a wander down here for a couple of kilometres and see what I can see. Another thing I always do in these old lines is have a look on the inside of the rail or the outside of the rail and get a date stamp, because it'll be forged with a date. Normally the old Australian stuff will post 1915, it'll be BHP, Newcastle, Whyalla, Wollongong, Illawarra steel, but some of it can be old, it can be imported from England. So it's always interesting old relic to find a rail that's date stamped, and they all are. But the other thing about the lines is, where they were constructed in less populated areas of Australia, and most of it wasn't very populated in the 1880s, 1870s, when the pioneer lines went through, are construction camps, because large numbers of men, Irish, Italian, of course English, and Chinese were used in the construction of the railway lines. All sorts of relics can be found from all over the world in these construction camps. Some of them are documented, some aren't. But if you pick up a ceramic scatter or a bottle dump, you're probably on a construction camp. Old enamel dishes, that kind of thing. So every 30 or 40 miles, depending on the terrain or where the line was going or what the country was like, they'll be near water, obviously, that's the first thing to look for. Construction camp, always at the head of the line as the line progressed further into the bush or into the outback. So there's lots to look for around our railway lines, and there are obvious pieces of infrastructure that you can see from Google Earth. You can easily follow the old road beds even when the rails are gone. Fortunately they're still here in this case. Rails are long gone, you can still see where the old lines go. Just make sure you've got permission to be in the area, of course, because this is state forest, but a lot of it's now on private property and they're fenced, and farmers don't like people coming in, which is fine. But a lot to be learnt from Google Earth. Old railway lines, construction camps, stopping places, and of course railway stations. We had a lot of activity in abandoned towns. Anyway, let's continue our little exploration along this line. I'll see if I can get a date off this rail. Okay, as I suspected, it's BHP rail. I hope you probably can't see this in the video. It's in the afternoon sun. I'm getting it. It's fairly corroded. Anyway, it says AS, I suppose that's Australian Steel, BHP Company Limited, Broken Hill Proprietary. That'll be Newcastle or Wollongong or Whyalla. And it's got so it's 60-pound rail. OH. I'm not sure what that is. It's got, I think it's a 2 and a 4. So I don't know if it's 1920, oh, might be 84, could be 1884. The line would date from 1884 actually, that may be correct. That period anyway, when the line was put through. I'll double check on that. 60 pound per yard rail, so that's heavy mainline rail. Actually it's in very good condition for its age, isn't it? I hope you can see that. You might be able to see that 60 pound there. Not sure about the date. It's there's a 2-letter, it says 84 before the 60 pound. I'm going to suggest that's 1884. Anyway, I'll investigate further and get back. Okay, there you can see it there. It's definitely 84, 60 pounds. So I'd say that's 1884, the date stamp. I've seen rail with the 4-digit year, but I'm suggesting that's a 2-digit year. Anyway, that's interesting. I'll accurately detail the construction time of this line. Of course, this could be a replacement rail, but all these rails in this run I'm on are 8.4s. That's a great bit of history right here in the bush. I love seeing the old rails still in place, even though the line's abandoned.